take your seat. Welcome to Neumont University's 2015 Commencement Ceremony. As the processional enters, please rise and remain standing until you are invited to take your seat by Neumont's Executive Vice President, Aaron Reed.
What a great day. Graduates look fantastic. Welcome to the 2015 Neumont University Commencement Ceremony. Please remain standing. We'd like to thank the Neumont String Trio for providing the music, and now we'd like to listen to their rendition of our national anthem. Thank you. Please be seated. I now ask that you join me reflection as we listen to the president of Neumont University's Equality Club and an orientation peer leader, Mark Jernigan, as he provides our invocation.
Good afternoon. Today is an exciting day. Not only are we here to honor the efforts of the graduates in this room, but also to recognize the faculty and staff, friends and family that supported these fine individuals on their endeavor. Through hard work and dedication, these deserving graduates accomplished something that not many people do. Let's make this one of many incredible accomplishments that make a rich and fulfilling life. Each and every one of us has helped these graduates. This journey was not completed alone, and it's important to recognize this. Let's take a moment to reflect on these accolades and our individual contributions, for it's only through the use of the relationships and the resources that we have that we become truly successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. So for the past 8 years, Neumont has had the privilege of having Edward H. Levine serve as our university president. We appreciate his forward-thinking direction and his guidance, and it is our honor to hear from him now. Ned.
Thank you, Aaron. Creek. And welcome to Neumont's 2015 Commencement Ceremony. Graduates and friends, families, parents, grandparents, siblings, and other random human beings, I speak for the Neumont community when I say thank you for coming and thank you for supporting your graduate through their education. I'm sure that your graduate has and will again thank you personally. But just in case you've been thanked by us. The commencement ceremony is a brief pause. We do it every year to reflect on forward momentum, and as you all know, Neumont graduates have a tremendous amount of forward momentum. And since I have recently announced that I will be commencing onward myself this spring, this is the last commencement ceremony that I expect to address as the Neumont president. A secret known by my colleagues behind me is that in the past I composed several versions of my commencement remarks, and I would adapt them for each event. I didn't consider that cheating, I considered it good planning. But today is different. These remarks were composed by me exclusively for this ceremony because I have 3 objectives. My first objective is to share a few thoughts and boasts about Neumont, where we came from, where we fit into the landscape of American educators, and I consider these reminders for my colleagues as I shift to a board of directors role only, where I won't be around campus as much. Like most good ideas, the concept for Neumont was derived from many worthy predecessor ideas. Original, non-derivative ideas are rare to the point of non-existence. For example, Airbnb is a mashup of bed and breakfasts and eBay plus TripAdvisor. Or Uber. Uber is a mashup of carpooling plus a taxi plus texting. All new ventures need pivots and revisions and refinements to reach a sustainable level of success, and Neumont was originally conceived as a technology degree plus a project-based curriculum plus an accelerated timeline that delivered employability to students of all ages. Today, Neumont is a college with programs designed to educate young people, like those who will cross the stage in a few minutes, who are passionate about technology in programs aligned with prospective employer needs under a schedule and tuition price that assures high long-term value to both constituencies. We offer a residential college experience in a culture where we care about and encourage personal development. None of that is new to our graduates, but it's a concise statement about what we are. Here's what we are not, nor will we ever be. Elite, in the sense of other institutions that today are hundreds of years old, endowed with billions of dollars of funding to attract the top 1%. Nor are we an open admissions career school focused upon trade knowledge to the exclusion of critical thinking, communication, and other personal development. Instead, we've taken good ideas like those from our keynote speaker, Eve Andersson, who is really a Neumont founder, and mashed them up with successful ideas from culinary, business, and other bachelor's degree programs. We're a hybrid, professional undergraduate education that is designed to produce graduates who meet the immediate needs of the employer community and who are prepared to make long-term contributions to their community while achieving career progression, moving up in their selected companies. We think that's an important niche that Neumont occupies, and we are deliberately different. The criticisms aimed at for-profit educators do not apply to Neumont University. We're appropriately selective when we accept students. We do not pass students with unearned grades, do we? We are not reluctant to ask students who cannot succeed to leave. And we have never diverted a single dollar to outside purposes. All funds go directly to education costs. Maybe we should have rewarded our founding investors, but we have not. Nor do the criticisms aimed at traditional public and private educators apply to Neumont. You know, those institutions that claim they are special and above prosaic concerns like return on tuition invested, or employment in field for graduates, or annual budget control. Colleges where tuitions increase 3 to 5 times the rate of annual cost of living adjustments, and where students accrue huge debt. Or public schools with taxpayer support, money that comes from all of us, that operate primarily for the benefit of tenured faculty or researchers or sports programs. Those are all very unlike Neumont. In 2007, when I arrived at Neumont, this institution was wobbling. Here comes the boasting part. It was a good idea, but we needed to turn it into a strong enterprise. There were problem practices and inappropriate staff. We were unprepared to succeed. To relaunch Neumont, we had to rewrite the mission statement, analyze the education market to see where we could fit in long term, eliminate bad programs, develop new degree programs, and restructure how we did everything, from accounting to class scheduling, from orientation to commencement. We built systems in academics, student affairs, and career services to teach and care for students. Marketing, admissions, IT, and finance were restaffed and reorganized with systems to deliver on our mission and our promises. We now rely upon business discipline to conserve resources and provide stability to students and to our employees. And through all that, we developed confidence to stay focused. We never lose sleep. I nor the rest of our staff never lose sleep worrying about the education flavor of the day. MOOCs, coding academies, online education, or what rich elite colleges do. Neumont is different, tougher, more focused, and more competent at doing what we have defined as success, educating students and preparing them for long-term success. Not a job, a career. I want to make one word about profit. I'll tell you one word about profit. Westminster College, Harvard, Brown, the University of California, and Neumont. Every well-run college generates profit, Without profit, any college or business will perish. Profit is the surplus proceeds that any organization generates to fund innovation, growth, and to thrive during rainy days. Neumont delivers a deep education at the lowest reasonable tuition prices and is fiscally sound. Graduates, never forget that profit is a requisite at any enterprise. Can you tell that I'm passionate about our differences? I am. And I would gladly compare our processes and outcomes with any other educator in America. Because I know that what we've built works, and I believe that other American educators have something to learn from the Neumont people in this auditorium, behind me on the stage and with you in the seats. Graduates, as you launch your careers, be prepared to compare yourself to and be compared with co-workers who chose traditional education institutions. Be prepared to explain Neumont, to take pride in our differences and your results. While other institutions or government workers would mischaracterize Neumont and condemn it as inferior to traditional college, you and your employer know better. Defend Neumont aggressively. Those who would malign us, do it out of ignorance. Inform them of the truth about your university. My second objective is to recognize my colleagues, the special people who innovate and deliver at Neumont for you and the other students every quarter. They built the Neumont that you know today. The colleagues in our academic, student affairs, and career services departments educated and cared for you guys for 2 or 3 years. The marketing, finance, IT, and administrative departments make Neumont operate every day. But hard work is not what makes these people special. What distinguishes these outstanding people is that they do their daily work with good humor, thoughtfulness, genuine interest, for our students and their success. As I move on, I will miss the daily interaction with the Neumont staff and faculty. They are the most cohesive group that I've ever worked with, and they accomplish big things. I hope that every student, including the graduates here today, appreciate them as much as I do. And as a small gesture of appreciation, I request that the graduates and audience stand now and recognize all of the Neumont staff and faculty with an enthusiastic round of applause. Please stand. And now, my third and final objective, to send you graduates off to be good alumni. This is what good alumni do. Good alumni credit their college for its part in their personal success. Alumni is your relationship with your college, and you have to be proud of your degree and your university. You have to volunteer to help students that follow you. Inform the world about Neumont's attributes and defend our uniqueness. Stay in touch with your friends and the faculty at Neumont. Graduates, I'll look forward to hearing about your future successes, and working with you and for you has truly been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Ned. There are pro is that it was much easier to stay awake. The biggest con is I think it's going to be really hard for us to figure out who won which speech is Ned going to use office pool. But we'll sort that out on our own. There's no question, I did not know Ned when he came to Neumont University, and there is no question that his influence has been seen all throughout Neumont, from our deep, rich retention programs and curriculum, all the way to our employee bocce and golf outings. And I consider him a personal friend and mentor and appreciate his influence on our institution. Neumont's programs are extremely rigorous, as the graduates can attest to. It is difficult to get through a Neumont program and earn a degree. It requires intense focus and significant sacrifice. Achieving academic honors at Neumont is a serious accomplishment. So please join me in recognizing our Valedictorian Adam Homer and our Salutatorian Landon. Full-time at a Utah company writing test and certification software for a company called Test Out. He came to Neumont after serving a 2-year mission for his church. He's a husband and father of a son, and he's the first person in his family to earn a bachelor's degree. Adam has 2 cousins that are current Neumont students and a sister that is a graduate. He has a wife and 2 children. And he works at Cerner, a healthcare IT company, where he and his team are working to introduce intelligence to electronic medical records. In his 5th quarter, his team won Project Showcasing. Adam will be delivering our valedictorian address.
Good afternoon. Thank you to our family, that might be mine. Thank you to our families, parents, professors, spouses, and all others who supported us through our Neumont experience. Our efforts would have meant little without your guidance and support. Congratulations to Neumont graduates. This has been such a long road. Look around you, to your left and right. I hope that you feel the same warm, inviting feeling that I feel when I look at many of my good friends here today. For many of us, Neumont was a safe haven, a place where we could be unique and different. For others, it was a place where we could learn skills we would come to love. Neumont is a breeding ground for good ideas, in both the curriculum and the attitude it has towards businesses. These good ideas rub off onto its students. It is difficult to put into words the growth we each have gone through during our time at Neumont, but I have been honored to try. Neumont's programs are analogous to boot camps, training our delicate faculty minds to manage and develop amazing technologies. The first few months are painful to a majority of the students. A lot of them are just coming out of the public schooling system, which we found boring and tiresome. Our professors admitted it's true though. Our professors worked very hard to reinvigorate an attitude of learning. I will never forget Tim Clark, who's in the audience today, if you guys don't know that. I will never forget him debating with students about focusing on our learning and not on our grade, something that I really took to heart. Many of us came to the school with no knowledge of writing software. I was in that same boat. I remember stressing out on my first assignment, which consisted of a few questions about simple computer science terms, like how many bytes are in an integer, and what's the entry point to a program. But the question that really took me a long time to figure out was, what is a floating point? Of course, now we think, duh, it's a method of representing an approximation of a real number with a specified range of precision. I didn't figure out what a floating point was until I realized that it's just a fraction. Once I created that connection to something I already knew, floating points became much easier to understand. Although this was a simple lesson, I learned something bigger than floating points. I learned that everything is related and built onto each other. As we progressed through the Neumont experience, instructions built on top of instructions and experiences on top of experiences. And with each new class, we realized we knew less and less about the IT world and the world as a whole. I remember tackling the 8 queens problem, the first real rigorous problem. The queens problem isn't easy, but the solution is simple. A single method consisting of maybe 10 lines of code could solve the problem for you. It was at this time I gained a better appreciation for the power of machines and algorithms. I learned that the simple solutions are often the best and most beautiful. The next big lesson I learned came in my 4th quarter in our introduction to .NET through the wisdom of Joshua Krebs. We were assigned to build a zombie apocalypse game in our lecture class, on top of the project in our .NET lab class. We were given this project maybe 2 weeks before the end of the quarter, and there's some debate exactly how many days we were given. But this was one of the first times we really had to struggle to finish all of our projects. I remember Alice talking to us about the project, and in response to our complaints about the lack of sleep, she said something that really stuck with me. She said, think about the experience you had. Although we still give Josh a lot of heat for that project, I hope he knows that it helped us all to grow. My team bonded because we knew we had to mutually sacrifice in order to finish both of our projects. I learned that some problems can only be solved through collaboration. Capstone, this will be fun, for some, was seen as an opportunity to show off and thrive. For others, it was an obstacle to more interesting problems. And for the rest, it was a living nightmare. We all learned valuable lessons, and to each of us they are unique. Capstone may be the biggest opportunity for personal growth here at Neumont. In a lot of our projects, difficult decisions had to be made, and we had to live with those decisions. In Capstone, I learned about personal accountability for my choices. After Capstone is what I call the land of milk and honey. Yeah, you're at the point where you've proven that you're technically competent and you feel amazing. Every class seems to be a refreshing spring of knowledge. I soaked it up, and without the terror of Capstone looming around the corner, I was free to pursue the deeper knowledge. What I enjoyed the most about the last few quarters of school were the discussions with my professors. I got to learn amazing things about software engineering, computational theory, and mathematics from experts whom I respect and still view as mentors and friends. I cherished the moments when I could have a discussion on generalizing data into mathematical models, or debating with Steve whether or not a machine could become a mind. I learned that there are difficult and complex problems in the world which haven't been solved. As a father, I often think of the future of my children and what they will be a part of. I can't help but think of the environmental, economic, political, and health problems that we're facing today. The complexities of global issues is mind-boggling, and often seems like there isn't any real solution. But there are people, honest people, working on these problems. And in many of these areas, technology is at the foreground leading the charge. In the future, I hope that my children, and maybe your children, are solving these same problems. But until then, we have the great responsibility to lead the way. Graduates, we stand on the shoulders of giants, and thus we're able to see further than ever before. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. I've heard a few valedictory addresses in my life, and that was a top 10%. Thank you very much. It is now my honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Eve Andersson. Eve and I have spent some time together over the last couple of days, and I assure you she is a fun and thoughtful person, and you're lucky to be hearing from her today. She leads accessibility engineering at Google. Prior to joining Google, Eve was the Senior Vice President of Academics at Neumont University. So when I said before that Eve is a founder, it's the truth. She also co-founded Mars Digital Corporation, an open source software company visiting professor of computer science at Universidad Galileo in Guatemala City. Eve has co-authored 2 books, Software Engineering for Internet Applications and Early Adopter Voice XML. I'm not reading those books either. She serves on the Professional Development Committee of ACM, the Association for Computing Machinery. She possesses engineering degrees from Caltech and UC Berkeley and an MBA in finance from Wharton. She is based in San Francisco, and prior to this, she lived in Argentina, Guatemala, the UK, and various United States cities. She's an avid traveler, photographer, and she can cite the number pi to 200 places. Eve is always working on her own projects, and she's told me a little bit about that. She's been on all 7 continents, and we are lucky to have her to speak to us today. Eve Andersson.
Ned told you about some of the places that I've lived. Google sent me to live in Argentina and in London and in New York, and now I'm back in California, which is the best, actually. Sunny every day, people smile every day. I think I'll stay. I got to manage some technological partnerships that were worth many millions of dollars for Google and for the partner as well. It was a win-win situation, fortunately. And so that involved both the technical side, so integrating the systems to work together better, and also the communication and interpersonal interaction side, which was also very, very interesting. Ned mentioned I started a company. It was called Ars Digita. That's what I did right out of grad school. And that was another really interesting experience, something that, give it a shot sometime, really. You learn so much by doing that. A few people asked me at dinner last night, what's better, working at Google or starting a company? They're both great in their own ways. Starting a company, well, you get to do everything wrong and learn from it. And that's really valuable. And you get to do such a huge variety of different types of things. So in addition to being a software engineer, I was also hiring people. And I was our first accountant. Not that I knew what I was doing. We did hire a real one to check my work. And I had to answer the phone sometimes. So everybody like that. It was very hard. A lot of work, but I felt a real sense of ownership and just learning continuously all the time. And sometimes I'd fall asleep that night and then wake up the next morning with keyboard imprints on my forehead. Have any of you experienced that at Neumont? Yeah, some heads nodding. So definitely a very different experience and a very good experience at the same time. Okay, as you also know, I worked at Neumont. I worked at Neumont back before it was called Neumont, before we had any students, and we were thinking about what could we do to fulfill our mission. And our mission, of course, was to educate the types of software engineers that companies want to hire. And so back when I started, we were just starting to form the curriculum. We had spoken with many dozens of employers. IBM, Microsoft were some of the biggies back then. And we tried to understand everything that was important to them. And from our conversations, we created a list, kind of like a requirements document. Did you guys have requirements documents? Yes? Well, so did we. It's something you really have to do. We created a requirements document where we listed 300 different things that we wanted you guys to know, that employers wanted you to know. And looking back, working at Google now, that was still right. I still want you guys to know these kinds of things. And they fell into a few different categories. So there was the theoretical computer science, which was very, very important for this strong basis. So algorithms, data structures, complexity, object-oriented program. I could go on, but there are parents in the audience and they'll fall asleep. Then there was the practical knowledge. So IDEs, the cloud, databases, all kinds of stuff, source version control systems, stuff that lets you hit the ground running when you're working on real software projects. But then, the most surprising for me, though in retrospect not so surprising, was that these employers were desperate for people who could give presentations, who could speak well, who could work with other people, not just lone coders, people who could solve real problems with complexity and ambiguity, and not just homework problems that have a right answer. So if you think that some of the curriculum was hard and the teachers didn't give you enough information to start, yeah, that was on purpose. I assume, I don't know all of these facts. When we were developing the curriculum, we had to figure out how to put all of these 300 characteristics into the program. And it was clear that we needed to do it in a project-based learning methodology. The only way that you teach some of these things like teamwork and how to solve real problems is to do this in a project-based method. And so we worked with some of the leading experts in project-based learning in order to develop this curriculum. And it was also clear that it was very important for people to have real experience working with external organizations on things that matter. And that's where enterprise projects come from. And back in the early days, it was really hard to get our partners, our enterprise partners, to sign up to have some unknown students touching their software. But from what I've heard nowadays, we have to turn them away. So way to go, guys. As I said, great to be back, great to see all that's going on here, and amazing to see the vision realized and improved over time. It seems like the trajectory is so amazing of what's going on at this university. So graduates, you are very fortunate people for two reasons. One, you got to escape from South Jordan and come here. I had to quit Neumont and move to Google to escape South Jordan. But the other reason is I truly believe that you have an advantage over other university graduates. You are standing on this platform of knowledge that you gained by being here at this university, getting these experiences that you've gotten that most people get after they join the workforce. And then, they're getting performance reviews also that show that maybe they haven't learned their collaboration yet. So you have a huge advantage from where you are now. I want to give you a little bit of advice, some of my personal values that I try to employ so that I can always keep learning and growing and improving in my own work. The first one is take risks. This is especially easy now when you're young. It gets harder, but it's really important. I think, people overestimate the dangers of failure. They really think if they fail at something, if they take a risk, that they're not going to be in good shape after that. And it's not true. You're talented people. If you go out and try some experience or some job that you don't know if you could do it, you'll get another one. Life is a game of statistics. If your goal is to roll a 6, the more times you roll that die, the more likely you are to get a 6. And it's the same thing with experiences. The more things you try, the more likely you are to find something that is really going to be a great fit for you and that you can be successful at. The second value is to always tell the truth, which is very hard sometimes in business, but absolutely essential. Your integrity is your #1 currency in the workplace. If people don't trust you, it's over. So get that reputation. Tell the truth nicely, but tell the truth. The third is to be humble. So the smartest person I know is my dad, but he doesn't know that. He probably doesn't feel that way about himself because he is such a humble person. And because he's humble, he's an engineer. He's always asking questions. He values the opinions of other people. He soaks up knowledge. And because of that, he becomes wiser and wiser over time. So don't imagine that you know everything. You can learn from everyone. The fourth piece of advice is to always email. If you're working on a feature or a piece of software, ask yourself the question, why am I building this feature? Is there some better solution? If you're working on a software project, ask yourself, why do we have this project? Why are we putting our resources on this? Is there something else that we could use or something else that we should be spending our time on? Ask yourself, why does my department exist? Why does my team exist? Is there some way that my company should be using its doing this, by bringing yourself up to this higher plane and always asking why, you become much more than an individual contributor. You become a valued thought leader within your organization. The fifth one is to put people first. As a manager or a team leader or a project lead, your goal is not just to successfully deliver this project. Your goal is to develop your people and to develop your processes and to have healthy and respectful working relationships with everybody in the group so that you can continue to deliver many, many more projects over many, many years. And so think about that and not just the immediate outcome. So those are my 5 values that I try to employ. And I think most importantly, you should think about your own values, what's important to you, and take the time to step back and reflect on them from time to time in the workplace and not just be too involved in the day-to-day. Neumont graduates, congratulations on your great achievement. May you find amazing careers that leave you professionally fulfilled and always continue to learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Eve. Thank you for coming, speaking to us. Thank you for your role in founding Neumont University, and thanks for sharing your personal values. I feel they're important, and I hope that you guys will make an effort to remember her advice. Aaron.
Will the candidates please rise? In accordance with the laws of the state of Utah, the certification requirements of the Accrediting Council for Independent Colleges and Schools, and the graduation requirements of Neumont University, it is my honor to present these candidates for the degrees Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, Software and Game Development, Computer Information Systems, Business Technology Operations Management, and Web Design and Development.
Mr. Reed, on behalf of Neumont University, I accept these graduates. Graduates, please turn your tassels to symbolize that you've completed the requirements of your program.
First of all, receiving diploma, Valedictorian Adam Homer. Graduates receiving the Bachelor of Science in Computer Science degree, David Lee Ariano. Christopher Bacon. Chad Baldwin. Gibson Shane Benham. Michael Eric Carlson. Thomas DeVico. Jacob Daniel. Zane Michael Farrell. Norman Fong. Clarissa A. Garza. Luis Jarrett Haneke. Tyler Kyle Howes. Matthew Stewart Johnson. Tyler Kern. Curtis Knox. Christian S. Lang. Jeffrey Linton. Mark Lopez. Felix Mie Shibano. Ryan Miller. Gerald Gregory Post. Gerald Gregory Post. Carlos Ramirez. Nick Redmond. I apologize. We need to get Christopher Gregory here. Dakota Ducky Danielle Reyes. John Rowley. Elton Thomas Searcy. Kevin R. Stinson. Giovanni Alexander Thomas. Robert David Warner. Brett Danielle Watson. J. Michael Watson. Andrew C. Wedekin. And now, graduates, receiving the Bachelor of Science in Software and Game Development degree. Bryce Thomas Ellsworth. Graduates receiving the Bachelor of Science in Computer Information Systems degree, Jared Brady Adams. Gray Flannery Brandmeier. Jacob Tyler Christoffel. James Kirkland. Brian Wade Dirks. Brandon Andrew Hahn. Aaron Michael Martinez. Alexander William Neal. And now, graduates receiving the Bachelor of Science in Business Technology Operations Management degree. Jordan James Armstrong. John Campbell. Alex Gersh. Cody Allen Gully. Adriel Alexander Hernandez. Brandon Gregory. Louis Land. Aaron Christopher Morlock. Tyler Evan Pike. Yogi Singh Raven. Garrett C. Reynolds. Shabazz Markolovich Serapov. Jonathan Grant Stutson. Andrew Tate. Nicholas Oliver Unger. Graduates receiving the Bachelor of Science in Web Design and Development degree. Blake Bishop. Davis. Caitlin Ann Cruz. Stephen A. Light. Thomas J. Moore. Courtney Wynn. Gregory A. Nielsen. Jared D. Perkins. Clayton Howard Rosado.
Congratulations, graduates. You may toss your caps. Always a popular moment. Guests, please remain seated while the graduates leave the theater, and I would like to personally invite you all to join us in the ceremony for a reception immediately following the ceremony. Thanks so much for coming.